Hey, what if we flop though? This is Stranger or Big Moose, and we're here with Act 2 of the Faultarian Journal, where we discuss all things fault from a perspective of a consumer. We are not a tester. Have nothing associated with fault. We are just passionate Paragon players and believe in fault and its success. Everyone, please
Hell
reintroduce
yeah.
yourselves.
My
Hey,
name
me.
is
Don't say
Steven.
Jeff. Jeff.
My name is Jeff. I'm Steven.
Yep.
Uh,
S.A.
And there's
I,
Marie.
I'm
me,
gonna give you a bit more.
Chandler.
I'm gonna give a bit more on Steve. Steve is the one that introduced me to Paragon. He's a crunch main. He's the best crunch I've ever seen. Better than everyone. For anyone that
Pretty sure
might be
it's the only
listening.
crunch I've ever seen.
Fuck you.
And we were all console players. We were all console players. We all know each other in person.
Hey, I
And there
used
we are.
to laptop.
Chandler used to use a laptop. We don't talk about that because console's better. Chandler,
Yes.
who are you?
Chandler, good friend Greg's. And, porter of all things fun.
Awesome. Just to give a bit on Chandler. Chandler and Steven are brothers. They're quite fantastic. We all played Fault or Paragon, and we all played a different amount of time, different levels, all that jazz, and it was just fun. Kenny, are you here?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, Kenny. Kenny, you may not know who we are, but I'm going to tell you the
I'm
situation
new
right now.
here.
I'm gonna tell you the situation. Basically, we're talking in this voice chat right now, and this is actually being streamed. So we're here to talk about fault from the consumer perspective, and we're calling it the Faultarian Journal, and we're here to talk about it from consumer perspective, as I said. And none of us are testers or have any internal connections with Strange Matter at all.
Yeah, I
Uh,
got the gist of it.
okay, awesome. Kenny, who are you? Please introduce yourself.
I am Kenny. I'm new here. And I don't think consoles are the best.
Ooh, Jeff.
Okay.
There you go,
Kenny
Greg.
didn't sign up for this,
Yeah, PC
but
Master
he hasn't
Race
left, so
is the PC Master Race is in the building.
yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, equality. You know what I mean?
Gotta
Anyway,
respect both sides.
yes, yes,
Hell
you do.
yeah.
They both have their benefits, and yeah, we'll leave it at that. Kenny, how did you hear about Fault and Paragon?
Too Burdick, most likely.
Britick, Britick's
Yeah,
the
but
streamer.
Paragon, I just found out. I don't remember how, but I played it a lot.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Who did you main?
Ooh, mostly jungles.
Yeah.
Like Grux, Chimera, all those
Yeah.
types.
Nice.
The
Did you
meta picks.
did you
Yeah.
follow any of the
The
competitive
actually
scene?
good picks.
I tried, but it kind of didn't go as planned.
Okay, cool, cool. Alrighty, so we're gonna hop on to a few more topics, guys. For anyone that's listening into the stream, if you want to jump into the Discord, just join the Strange Matter Discord here, and we're gonna be talking about it. We do have our own Discord of our own, but it's a bit small and a bit unprofessional and amateur at the moment. But that will change. Just give us time. And here we are. So far, just to give a little recap, we've talked about the ugly that happened over the last few days, which is when Strange Matter announced the prices, and there was immediate about 30% of the 33% of the player base had some kind of backlash, whether they were very vocal about it or not, about the pricing. Strange Matter was pretty fantastic. They changed it within 24 hours. So we have that. We talked about grindable heroes. How long should it take for you to grind a hero without paying any money for a character? We came to half of an agreement, I would like to say, about approximately 15 hours a hero. So over a weekend, without playing the whole weekend, you could get a hero. Uh, yeah. And what else did we talk about?
I think it should be more, but whatever.
I think it.
How long do you think?
At least 24 hours. 15's too low.
15 could be too low, I think, from business perspective because they're only going to have 20 heroes in the game. Like, there's 6 more
That
coming out.
that too, yeah.
Right.
Like there will be people that are stupid active in the game, and they will get them really quick.
Mm, that's true. I feel like we talked about something else, or was that all we talked about? Am I
We
forgetting
also
something?
you asked me to sort of like go over time
Yes, we went
again.
over the concept of time, and to just keep it brief and short, the concept of time, in our opinion, is basically what makes a MOBA. Because, for an example, let's say you're the jungler and you rotated to the safe lane, but you're 10 seconds late to the engage. Well, you just let your carry and support die, for example, or you miss the kill. So we're talking about a concept of time and everything from laning, minions, why you choose a certain character, how you win games, why it's important to some characters, some heroes, and some that, and more so not to others, and why, as the player, why are you giving your time for this game, and why do you keep coming back? Because the one thing you have in the world that you can never get back is time.
Yeah, and then there's also like that idea. When we were talking the other day about like potentially like what a giant raptor would be, or like different river buffs and placement of those and stuff like that. Like the idea of like, okay, at what point should you give up all hope? And I mean, I sort of thought about the idea of like, yeah, you could easily say like when the enemy team gets prime,
Mm-hmm.
like you should just be like, fuck, and then you just like sit on an inhibitor for like 5 minutes and you just hope you don't get your shit pushed in. But like, what if there was a way to create a little bit more engagement for the player? Okay, like if they get prime, what if when prime dies there's another buff that spawns on the map, so it would increase map awareness. Okay, we know they're at prime, we probably can't take, they're probably all there, what if we try and go and make sure we get that buff? And so like the buff, like the giant raptor wouldn't like, so like prime would be a full team buff that like, let's say for example, increases everyone's stats by 100%. But what if this giant raptor like gave only one person like 150? And so that way it would at least give you a little bit of a fighting chance, where like if the one player that got that raptor buff could probably take each prime person down in a one-on-one, but like if multiple people in the prime, you know what I mean? And like
Mm-hmm.
it's that idea of like at what point should there be no more objectives, and at what point is time irrelevant in a MOBA, and should it ever be irrelevant, I guess. And just
I
like,
don't think there should be a camp that counters Prime. It
You,
doesn't make sense.
you
it
don't.
should end at prime.
You think that pretty much once you get prime, unless you have the best defense of your life, that's the end of the game.
No, you can still defend against it. It's not overpowered when you cannot kill the other team. We've seen a bunch of games where a team had Orb Prime and the other team killed them all.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Like it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Orb Prime is supposed to be a buff for the winning team to end the aim quicker,
That
but the
is
other
true.
team can still do something about it if they communicate better.
Yeah.
Like if
So
they all die, yeah, obviously it's game over.
Okay. But what have you ever played uh League of Legends, for example?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so what about like the dragons, and how after you kill a certain amount of dragons, they do evolve into an elder dragon. So add a second secondary objective in the late game other than Prime itself, or Baron, sorry. Do you think
yeah,
Isn't that what Raptors for?
yes, but Raptors only give gold, and after a certain point in the game you're at a full build.
yeah.
So they're
So
more of
like,
a
yeah,
bef- they're more of a before 30-minute
Well, there's the red
objective.
buff that gives you more damage.
There is, yeah, in the jungle.
yeah.
Hmm. We shall see. We shall see. We shall
So
see
yeah,
what they're gonna do. Uh,
Yeah, and I guess
just
that was the only reason why we ever mentioned about a response based on
mhm.
hint to the fact that an Elder Raptor of sort or some derivative of a buffed raptor has already been
Mhm.
sort of mentioned. So that's
Oh,
sort of the main
oh,
talks about that is the
oh,
concept of how do you go further with the raptor since they're were.
Yeah, it may or may not be a good idea, and I really enjoy the debate. I want to hear a no because it just adds a different perspective on things, right? Just
Yeah,
because we say yes doesn't mean it's a good
yeah.
idea. Who are we? We're just another customer, really.
Well, that's the big,
Because at the end
the
of the
open
day,
conversation. That's the beauty of it.
at the end of the day, it's all about like, are there other ways to one? I'm sure Strange Matter is kind of hoping to. I feel like every single time you make a game, you want to try and revolutionize one thing. And if they could try and put a different spin on objectives and stuff like that, and like, at what point is you are you dried up of objectives?
Hmm.
And obviously, like, there's been a ton of MOBAs in the past that have tried certain things, and hypothetically, like, like the perfect formula, but it's always that thing of like, okay, what else could be done to try and shake things up a little bit that could just provide a different, I guess, game and experience and all that kind of stuff. So,
Cool. Yes, Kenny, sir, you can go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
I mean, there's always the objective. The main objective of the game is to destroy the towers and then the core.
Hmm.
The buffs and the orb prime just help you with that.
Yeah, they're just
yeah.
means to get to the core. Okay.
Yes.
So on that note, let's move on to the next thing. So the next topic that we have, hang on, I'm just going through it all. We're gonna go talk about the new favor system. So I don't. So if you played Alpha 3 Weekend, or if you played Holiday Access, you would have got a chance to play with the favor system, which is the new a system the Strange Matter has developed themselves, which coincides with the item system. So we're done with the cards. We're done with everything past version 41 and after version 42. And that's eliminated. I think there was something in Legacy that was different, but I didn't play at the time, so I couldn't tell you exactly what that was. And so Strange Matter has created a favor system. And basically what it is there's an item shop similar to Smite, League, Dota. Like, it's pretty much the exact same thing. Um, and the favor itself is you choose two factions. You choose two factions. So you can choose double green, double red, one green, one red, purple, blue, white. And each gives you a passive ability, if you may call it that. Uh, and
It's a bonus
a
to your
bonus.
character
Yeah,
roll.
it's a bonus to your character, yeah. And these uh, aspects is what they call them. Can really change the kind of character you're going to build. Like, for example, red is more for carries. It's meant for basic damage. However, you could, if you wanted to, throw a red aspect on Greystone if you want to be able to do a bit of damage, and instead of just being a one beast tank. Uh, so
Greystone can be great jungler.
he can be, yeah. And so that is what the favor aspect system. And on top of that, there's a few things that add favors. So you can actually gain favor in the game and put them into your faction. And when you put them into your faction, it gives you bonuses. And at the moment, it gives you bonuses on certain items. So there's certain items that say uh, plus each favor, you get plus 1.25% damage, let's say. Um, and you can get favor in a few ways by killing 50 minions, by killing a raptor, by killing orb, of course, or getting a tower, and that will give you one favor. However, Strange Matter has confirmed that they are changing the favor system because there was a few issues with it. Number one, I'm a support main. I've always have been. The support buffs are one of them's good. The other two are pretty mediocre for the most part. So, but they still haven't touched the support. But that's just my personal opinion. The red faction is completely wiped. It is gone. One of the buffs, one of the aspects there were too broken. And it literally said every time you deal basic hit, you deal 15% true damage over 10 seconds or something. Uh,
Good.
oh, yeah. So that is gone. And there's another red one, another purple one that's gone. So now they're only down to the one purple one. And they changed the blue ones up a bit, and they plan on changing it. So what they have, so I asked in a dev stream a few days ago, how are they changing it besides, adding more purple aspects, of course. And what they're going to do now is instead they don't want the favor to work on the items. They want the favor to work specifically with the aspects that you have chosen. So what they're going to do now is you're going to have one major aspect and one minor aspect. So one big bonus, one little bonus, and you can have, same thing. You can have two in one faction or one in each, or two in different factions. And the favor is going to work more directly with the aspects that you choose. So the aspects themselves are going to get buffed, if that makes any sense. Yeah, so that is what is going to happen. So what I wanted to talk about is I want to talk about a few things. I want to theorize what would be a good few purple aspects, new purple aspects to put in the game, and how do you think major and minor aspects is going to change the dynamic of what Fault currently is? So,
Did you guys like the old card system,
uh,
Paragon?
I'm going to be honest. I liked it, but I can see why objectively it's bad. And
Can you explain it a bit?
yeah, why I think it is objectively bad is because it was giving you a recipe for success. Like my deck was literally meant for specific character. I just had a deck for every character, right? So, and that is what I played every game. Didn't matter, and I'd throw in a few cards if I had to, counter something or whatever. But the problem is that there's a recipe for success for certain heroes is what the game started to transcend into, and that is not what a MOBA is. They really want to leave it up to the player's decision and focus more on not the hero itself being the reason why a team comp is better, but how well the player plays with that hero. So with eliminating the card system to create decks, you're now giving more counterplay, and counterplay is a good thing. You don't want to end up like Overwatch where there was like a god where in competitive there was a god stack of 5 characters, and that's what everyone played for like a year. And like if you didn't play those, you were bad. You just lost. You were at a disadvantage, at like heavily disadvantaged. So Fault wants to try to eliminate that. So that's why
Why?
they went to the item system.
Yeah, you
I
never want to feel like your role is completely invaluable to the game.
something that I thought about. I don't know why they never thought to just one add more cards or two add more like passive abilities to cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what I mean, and like create situations in alter cards and stuff to make it to a point where like objectively if I put this card in it complements how I want to play as a character as opposed to this is what this character needs and then any dummy can use it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like because like they
Are we
never
talking
really
about Epic or are we talking like Strange Matter?
epic. I'm talking epic. I'm just
Okay.
talking in hindsight now. They were just like, no, card system's broken. We're gonna go to 3 cards, and then they added in the abilities, like the attack, the health, and then the mana, and you put and you built that way. And I was just like, I don't know, it's just like the same thing, just less interesting and less strategic
Yeah, well,
to
they
me.
just tried to dumb it down to the general public, because at this point, the player base is slowly going down, so they're thinking, okay, how do we make it more accessible? And they made it as simple as possible. That's the problem with any sort of system that's too simple, is that it becomes easy to, like, there's only one viable option. It doesn't matter about player skill, doesn't matter if you're objectively a better
But
player. Like
what
somebody who's been playing 5 minutes could have the exact same outcome in the game as somebody who's been grinding a bunch of time, and then you sat there with frustration.
I just don't know why they never like this just goes back to the whole thing of like tutorials and training and assistance and stuff. That was something that Epic Games never did. Is they never actually implemented a good way for people to learn the game. And I understand that like you can go onto Google, you can go to the wiki, you can play other MOBAs, and you can learn MOBA tactics from that. But like, what's so wrong with implementing ways to teach how to use your game and creating like, yo, until you get to this level, you can't play the high level ranked stuff.
They were probably saving the full version game.
I remember because I remember being in the
full
Epic
version.
Games forums, and I remember watching the community corners, and I remember them explicitly saying, "Ranked is coming. Just wait, it's coming." I fucking
Wait.
waited, and it never came.
Wasn't there a system where you cannot play the actual game until a certain level? You had to play bots.
Uh, I think there was for a bit. Like I think there was, but they definitely eliminated it. And I think it was till like level 3 or something like that, and you had to play
Yeah,
bots.
it was really low.
Yeah.
I thought it was not every hero, like I there might have been that, but what I do specifically remember was like not every hero was unlocked
Mhm.
until you got to a certain level. Like I remember like, and that was really dumb too, because for players like myself, Greg, and Chandler, we played like hours and hours and dozens of hours of this fucking game, and then they come out with this new update for new players like, yeah, we're just gonna not let you play like auto lock Sevarog on your first match in a ranked game. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, like that's probably a bad idea if you know nothing about MOBAs and like how to, you know what I mean, like
Your
jungle
first time booting
with a
up the
brain.
game.
So like, you know, but and so they were like, no, we're just gonna not let you play it, and like, I don't know, taking away opportunity as opposed to giving knowledge, I think is a really good way to alienate players and to gatekeep and say, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what to do. And I remember it was even, like before ranked never came out, they were teasing a PvE mode. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? What's that? Like,
Yeah, it was a lot of not listening to community. Again, doing
teach
whatever
people
they
ward
want
placement,
to do.
teach people deck building, teach people how to build a character, and like, I don't know, they just never did that. And they're like,
Because the biggest thing with any of those
Fortnite.
mechanics, you have to actually see why it's viable.
Yeah.
One thing to read an item description and understand why it should work, but if
Yeah.
you never get the opportunity to actually go through that movement and why it's been part of the game, you end up never using it. And now, if you're a person that, let's say, you weren't using your wards right or whatever, now all of a sudden you have these people in the lobby with you that are not playing the game to the optimal standard, and you're getting frustrated. There's only 5 players, so if you have 3 people who have no idea what they're doing, you can't have essentially a 2v5 in a game like that, because you're just going to lose and you're going to waste the next 45 minutes of your life.
Yeah. So like, I feel like going forward, I think the item shop is a step in the right direction, going back to like the idea of what the decks were always supposed to be. I felt was like that extra level of, I guess, strategy and planning, and let you build around a character. And this whole recipe for success thing, I feel like you fix that with like, I don't know, make more cards, make cards less broken, add more passive abilities.
And again, that was always it added to their history of, instead of trying to make something better or buffing it or adding,
The problem I think
let's take away, let's nerf it, let's constantly take
the
away.
problem I
Better
think
rather than add.
sorry. The main problem I think Epic has with everything from Gears of War, Fortnite, Paragon, is they always try to create something new, and sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And they used to do that every week, and literally, you can see it statistically. The player base would literally go down every week because
Paragon
every
itself
time there's a new
was
update.
unique.
Sorry.
Paragon itself was already a unique game. Didn't have to do anything more.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, and you can see it in the
Yeah,
way
for how
Gears work.
beautiful it was. That's part of the reason a lot of people got in, because you were looking at other MOBAs and you're like, you can't have this experience with any other game.
Yeah, and you can see that in everything. Like Gears of War 3 was super popular, had a huge competitive scene, and then the game just like fell off for like 6 years, and then they were like, "Well, I guess we'll make Gears of War 4." And now there's no competitive scene for that game anymore. Like there is, but like it's turned into like the Smite level of competitive. Like it's almost non-existent at this
It
point.
exists, but it's kind of in the back.
Yeah. And I think that's just a problem Epic has. So just to try to get back on track, we're gonna try to talk about 2 new purple aspects that